in the club for fishing every day. Fishinfrank. You say you want to catch some fish.
Hey, how you doing? Oh, such another day. And contrary to the way I'm dressed, it's cold out there. It's like in the 60s. And it's damp, it's dreary, there's no sun. If the sun was out, it'd be 80 degrees, but there's no sun. It's dreary, it's damp, freezing. It's that every time I went outside this morning, outside to have a smoke, and good God, it just bone chilling damp. I mean, it's not like if you live in, some northern Arctic place, where you're going to die in the cold, but it's just feel like I'm going to die. It's cold. I'm not sure what this is going to do to the fish, but I'll make a prediction that by Monday, Sunday, Monday, I think fishing's going to get pretty darn good.
I'd have to agree with that. Each day it's gone up. Since last week, it's come up anywhere from 11 to 13 degrees.
And, the water's got a light brown tint to it. Most of it's pretty clear, but it's still got a light brown tint to it, which allows it to absorb that solar radiation. And I was looking at Gulf temperatures, and right by us is cold. But as soon as you get out 100 miles, it's average temp or even above.
Really?
The closer you get over to Texas.
Okay.
The average temps are either normal average, water temp, or above average. And we've got a slice right along the Gulf that is right along Florida's west coast that's much colder than normal. But as soon as you get out a little ways, temperatures are normal and even above, closer to Texas, Louisiana up there.
Well, that colder than normal jibes really well with what we've been seeing out there in the harbor. Looking out there yesterday, there was a gigantic fog bank that prevented us from getting to where we wanted to go. But we did run out to Alligator Creek, and the water temperatures out there in the creek and out at Alligator Creek Reef and around the harbor in that general area, all 61 to 63 degrees.
Yeah, I mean, the water's getting warmer much quicker than I thought it was going to. But we've had such bright sunny days, a lot of solar radiation, and I think that's what kept us from having a major fish kill. Because even now, if the fish were going to float, they would have been floating by
They would
now.
have floated.
And so everything looking pretty good. I think we avoided what happened in Tampa and New Smyrna and a lot of other places around the state. I think we just avoided that. And It was a weird convolution of circumstances with very cold nights, but a lot of sunshine during the day.
And also those very low tides that were preventing fish from getting up into those shallow areas anyway. So all those things together resulted in us not having a lot of death out here, which is fantastic. I could not be happier to have been proven
much less
wrong
dramatic, though. I
about
mean,
the
the last
fish kill.
couple of weeks, the fishing report's been, well, it kind of sucks. Well, it's not very good.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what's going on out there because there's nothing. But I think that'll change over this week. What do you think, Robert?
I've gotten a handful more reports. Each day I'm getting a couple. I mean, it's still not gangbusters yet, but each day it's positive and a little bit more positive. So, like you said, I think your prediction's right with as it's warming up. It seems to be the normal. Once the water temperature's in that low to mid 60s, that's when fish start to get a little bit more excited. But once it gets below 60, that starts to really screw things up for all the species. Even the trout and sheepshead that really like the cold, they still get messed up.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple spots with the sheepshead that we'll get to here in a little bit that lets you know how cold it actually got.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's just been a very strange year and doesn't conform to normals. And normal is out the window. What should have killed massive amounts of stuff because of a combination of wind and tides and sun and this and that really had a very small effect on anything. And
which is fantastic.
it's great. It's just
pleased.
boring. It would be nice to show pictures of rafts of dead fish and be able to get all excited and complain and rage at the gods and say, no, this can't happen to us.
Yeah. Let me just say for all of us, F that. I'm very happy with where we're at.
Well, I can say, as an old guy, same old was wonderful. I mean, it used to be you want something exciting to happen and be out and go crazy and yeah, this is great. And now if it's exciting, it means it's bad. I like boring, same old, way more than I should. Way more than I should. So, do we want to get started, Robert?
Yeah, probably a good
All
idea.
right. We'll get into the
I got it.
boring same old of place-by-place fishing report.
Some of it's similar, but there's better reports, like I said, this week than there was the last 2 weeks.
Oh, and he's keeping it hidden. He's keeping it
Yeah,
inside.
I hear that.
got my
He doesn't
flying
wanna talk
fisherman
about it. So,
anti-beaming
see
protection
if we can get you in
polarized.
there and let's see if
Well,
There
here,
we
see,
go.
I made
There's
it one
Frank.
piece.
Okay. Congratulations. Yeah. And,
Yes.
it's really challenging to make sure you don't end up over there with an arm sticking out of your chest or anything like that. So I'm
Yes.
glad I got that piece of tech right from the beginning. So.
You could have made me better looking.
I did make you better looking.
Oh yeah, okay.
There you are.
Yes,
What more
there
do you
I am.
want?
I am better looking there. That's right. Okay, Robert,
All
what do we
right.
got?
So on the upper Peace River is where we're starting at, right?
Yes,
That's where we usually start. Harbor
From
Heights and
Harbor
Peace
Heights
River area.
up.
So up in that area, they're still catching some redfish around the bushes. And then
By bushes, he means under the mangroves.
yeah, under the mangroves and what's the other one? The sawgrass.
Yeah, the sawgrass.
Some of the sawgrass patches as you get a little bit more.
There was some real nice sawgrass right here by I-75 that you could fish. But as you get up here, and let's see, it would be up in this area here, you've got a lot more sawgrass in this area. This is where salt and brackish, or the salt and fresh kind of mix a lot. So a lot of sawgrass up in this area.
I'll zoom in and we'll see if we can see sawgrass, which I don't know if we can or not.
I don't think you'd be able to.
I don't know if we can.
There's a bunch of sawgrass
Looks like
marshes and stuff, but it's hard to tell it from the mangroves
Yeah.
stuff.
You can see some of that if you go over the I-75 bridge and you look
Yeah, it's
down.
All right through here is just all sawgrass.
Yeah, that just looks like plain brown mud. That's sawgrass area.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry for the diversion, Robert. Continue, please.
shiny things.
Me to the mouse.
So they're getting some Mayan cichlids up there too in the canals
Yeah.
and Shell Creek. From Shell Creek, basically from the mouth of Shell Creek, where it's at the mouth of the river, going up to the trestle. And around the trestle, a gentleman caught some Mayan cichlids, a couple of very small snapper. He hooked one little snook. He saw a tarpon, and it didn't roll. He said he actually just watched it swim real lazily right by his boat. He had 61 degrees up there.
Yeah.
But he said when he was out the week before, he had 51 degrees. So pretty chilly. So it came up 10 degrees in that week or so time frame from when he was last out, which is good.
Yeah, the water up here in the canals is still real brown, and it's a real good solar collector. We've got tilapia, and a lot of mangrove snappers just moved in behind my place.
Really?
I'm on a canal in Harbor Heights, and the mangrove snappers just moved in. My neighbor was just in. He says, oh, yeah, the guy across the canal, Jack, is catching a bunch of snappers. So he came in, got some shrimp. He's going to go after the snappers.
Nice.
Are we sticking with shrimp, Robert, or are we
Yeah.
finding artificials?
Nah, shrimp are working the best. The two different guys that caught redfish up there, they both caught theirs on shrimp. They tried some artificials, no good, and they ended up catching them
Still
both on shrimp.
so chilly for the artificials. If you're using a Strike King Rage Tail with a 16th ounce jig head, so you can crank it really slow. But with modern reels, it's so hard to get it slow enough. Now, I got to step over you guys. My Quantum Cabo reel, with this Quantum Cabo, it's super tough, super durable. You can put it underwater, bring it out, and it doesn't have any water in it. It's got, from the drags to the seals, everything. It's great, but it's so fast. This is like a 6-to-1 plus retrieve. So as you turn it slowly, see how fast the rotor's going? Even though I'm going slowly, this part here is spinning so quickly. We're trying to ask Quantum to come up with a slow row power reel, one that's like 4-to-1, 30-40% slower than this, just for these times a year. And there's a lot of times you just want to go slow, and you can't with modern reels. And it's kind of the standard of the industry right now is to be fast. And what we're looking for is for when the water's very cold or very hot. Both those times you have to slow down. And even up north doing walleye, a lot of times I want to go real slow. And it's hard with modern reels to go slow enough. The incentive to buy them was, oh, it's 6 to 1, it's 7 to 1, because reels used to be 3.2 to 4.5 to 1. They were more powerful, as far as cranking power goes. But it's something that's just not available in the market. We're talking with Quantum about doing this to give us that reel that we can use slow enough when the water's like this that we can actually catch more fish. Because with a rage tail, a light jig head, if you reel it very, very slowly, the tail still goes like crazy. But if you have a heavy jig head on, it digs into the bottom right away. So it's got to be a very light jig head and a very movable tail.
Right. Yeah, and they have a really nice tail on them. That's one of my more favorite of all the soft plastics, personally.
Yeah, once the water hits about 68, I switch back to the DOA. 70 degrees, I'm definitely into DOA cal shads again.
Mm-hmm.
But once the water's too hot or too cold, then I'm definitely going back to the rage tail because I can go it so slow and get all that action.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, brings us to the Darce Park boat ramp and I-75 bridges area. Frank, where's the Darce Park boat ramp? You're
Yeah.
standing on it.
What's that?
You're standing on it. You were covering it up.
No, it was right here.
It was behind Frank's butt. That's why we
Yeah,
couldn't
but
find
I was
it.
showing it's
There
right
it
here.
is.
I could do that while I was standing there, but no. Traditionally, you get some redfish right around the opening of this. The other side's probably a little bit better right off the sandbar here, but in the back, there's actually some halfway decent redfish fishing. If I don't hit anything at the mouth, I don't bother going through. But if I catch a few at the mouth, then I'll kind of go around. And this trough here by the No Name Island here, we call that what, Arrowhead Island or something?
Oh, I'm sure it has a name. We just don't
Stone
know it.
Knife Island? I don't know. But this back trough occasionally holds some redfish as well as this pocket on the side. But
Anything to report this week in that area, Robert?
Just a couple of small trout.
Under the bridge?
Around the bridge area. They were not fishing under the bridge. A couple guys did fish under the bridge and got nothing.
this is where the wood bumpers are here, and some good fishing on either side of the bumper. Right now, there should be snook there. Should be. We don't know for sure, but if I was going to place a bet, I would bet on snook fishing right there.
Right.
All right. Taking it to the 41 bridge, Robert.
That has been exceptionally quiet. One guy got some mangrove snapper fishing off the top, but a couple guys went out there snook fishing and they saw a couple fish, but they weren't cooperating at all.
Okay.
Can you zoom in right here for a second, Josh?
Sure I can.
Bring it up. See anything left? Because this area right in here is usually pretty good fishing. You can access it from where, this is where the pier was, but this area right in here, this little pocket and this in here, if I had to bet right now, I bet you there's a whole bunch of snook there. Now, occasionally what I would do is I'll put a bait about 4 feet below a bobber. You can get away with, try and get it as long as you can, 3.5 feet, 4, and cast out towards and let the tide take it to these power line poles. And right around them, there's some really nice fish, but it's a long cast. You got to throw way out, then let the current bring it over to that because you'll never reach it on its own. But you can actually, a lot of times, cast out this way and get it to go that way with the drift. But putting it on a bobber, and like I say, try and get as close to 4 feet as you can, but that's almost impossible to cast. But some really nice fish around these power poles.
Robert, anything around the Lashley seawall?
No, got nothing off of the seawall.
This should be. This is from,
Years
with the
of
weather this
knowledge.
way, this is what should be going on.
Right. A little bit of crystal balling.
A little
Nothing wrong with
crystal balling.
that. Spring Lake Park.
Some small mangrove snapper. A guy caught a whiting out there the other day.
Okay.
and he caught 2 puffer fish.
All the way up there?
He actually landed the puffer fish and the whiting.
Wow.
It was neat because
Puffers all the way up here means we've had no rain in a long time because this is usually way too fresh for the puffers to want to come up into.
Yeah.
Boy.
He ended up switching over to a small hook because he kept getting robbed, so he was just playing around, and he ended up catching them on that. A little piece of shrimp and little tiny hook.
Which is really smart. A lot of people don't realize if you're getting robbed, switch down to a smaller hook. Hide it in the tail. Just thread it up, put it inside the tail. You'll get them.
He caught 2 little snook. He had his boy caught a little redfish, like 12, 13 inches. What else did they have? A bunch of catfish. He did say, and this came from another guy too that was up on the other side of Midway. He said he saw several catfish floating, and a guy up on Midway said he saw a couple dead catfish right after the freeze.
Wow.
And then I did have a guy say down in Pirate Harbor, around Pirate Harbor and Hobbs Point, they saw a few dead catfish like 2 days, 3 days after the cold weather went through. But that was it.
We don't think of it because we don't care about the catfish as much because they breed and there's so many of them. And but they are one of the dumber fish out there.
Yes.
You get a red tide going on, they run right into it. And usually it's because with a red tide, the mullet like eating algae. They'll eat shrimp and fish, and they'll eat bugs and worms. Mullet will eat anything if it's soft. But they like algae a lot. So when the red tide blooms, they go, oh, algae. And they run into it, and they die. And then the smell of them dying brings in hordes of catfish. And they just run into it because, oh, boy, I'm going to eat. They got, 2 brain cells, eating and fornicating. That's about all they do.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I'm cold. I'm going to put my jacket on.
Where's your jacket, Frank?
Yeah, it's right here. I'm probably going to get it.
Okay. The general wider Port Charlotte salt canals.
So they've been a little bit slow, but at the mouths of the canals, they've been picking up a handful of trout of assorted sizes, mostly small. I'm hearing of them from Grassy Point over to the Manchester Waterway and around the beach complex area. And that's mostly been like an afternoon bite, a little bit in the morning, but not as much. And then little mangrove snapper, some Mayan cichlids. Guy got a bunch of little tiny sheepshead. He said they were probably about 5 inches long. He had them in his crab trap. He said it was like 8 or 10 of them in his crab trap, and they said they're all about that big.
I try and tell people when you're putting out a crab trap, use as heavy a rope as you can fit on it, because if you get a whole school of fish, it could be spadefish, sheephead, whatever kind of other fish are in the area. But if you get 50 or 100 of them in there, that's heavy. And if you've just got a small string, even if it holds, you cut your handle up. Try and use at least a 1/2 inch line or so, 3/8, half, 3/4, whatever you can. It can't be too heavy because sometimes those crab traps weigh a ton when you try and get them out of the water.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and every summer it seems to happen with the plecos, the armored catfish, where you have people they stack up inside their traps.
Oh,
and that's when you're talking about some serious poundage.
Yeah. You get a bunch of little catfish stuck up in there. Oh my God. And you got to be so careful getting them out so you're not cutting your hands all up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
not a whole lot else going up in the canals. A couple guys were trying for snook, even trolling as they were coming in and out of the canal, but didn't pick up any.
How about El
Jobean? Mostly too cold. El Jobean, couple of little snook there. Been some trout at the outside edge of it on the river side.
Yeah, on this side over here.
And then over by the mouth of the Myakka cutoff were some trout, but those were assorted sizes. Most of them were smaller.
Anything for tippy canoe or anywhere?
Nowhere else.
Okay, we can go right to South Gulf Cove then.
In South Gulf Cove, I have guys catching Mayan cichlids and tilapia off their dock.
Yeah.
And one guy actually caught 2 bluegill.
Really?
He's way in the back.
He's got to be back past 771 up there.
He said he's really close to the boat ramp that's back in there. That's
close
to the Placida Road.
Let's see,
I forget where it's exactly at. I know it's close to that boat storage place, isn't
right
it?
here, I think. I think that's the boat ramp right there.
He said he's only about 2 to 3 minutes away from the boat ramp.
Yep, that's it. But the further you go that way, the more freshwater it is. You got bass and crappies, bluegills, all kinds of stuff. That's why you have so many Mayan cichlids and tilapia out here, because they tolerate the salt very well. And where the bluegill or the bass burns their gills out, and they get in that salt and their gills start burning, they just head back into the fresh area.
Right.
But it's kind of neat. This is all saltwater / brackish, and once you get across 771 here, that gets more and more freshwater.
Yeah, that's the one unique area. Like when somebody asks about, like, because technically brackish is freshwater and saltwater mixing together, but this time of year there's no such thing as brackish. It's saltwater.
Well, with the exception of South Gulf Cove because of the locks.
Right, and that's what I was getting at, is that's that one unique little micro area where,
yeah,
because I was teaching one of the guys in there, I'm like trying to explain it to, I forget who it was in there, about how that's the one area that its own little weird spot.
Yeah, it's got its own little everything.
Yeah.
But the locks here, they open this side, the boat goes in, they close this side up, and then the boat goes over here, they open this, boat goes out, they close it up. So you've got 2 gates, one on each side, that allows for very limited water transfer back and forth.
And they do open it up occasionally for a few days at a time to let more water into that canal system. But that doesn't happen now because the tides are so low. It would actually take water out of the canals.
The water would be dropping behind the locks.
So when they open it, it's usually during time when it's fresher, the Myakka River is flowing, and then you're not getting super salty water coming up into the canals.
Yeah, but this has to be higher than this in order for them to put water in.
Yeah, and doing that when the tides are super low probably would not be the best of all plans. Even though people are in there complaining about it right now. Well, they need to open the lock because I can't get my boat off the lift. Okay, well, that's just going to make it worse if they open the lock. But keep complaining, bud.
Yeah.
I tell you what, run your hose into the canal and just turn it on. That'll help. Fill it up.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for.
West Wall, Robert.
Up by Trout Creek, they're actually getting some trout right at the mouth of it, and just
now,
on
that
the
doesn't
outside.
make any sense. Trout at Trout Creek?
Yeah.
Let's see.
The gentleman caught several of them the other day.
Now,
they caught 2 legal ones, and the rest were all small. But they caught like 15
that's
trout
good,
there.
Josh. Back up. Okay. Getting from here to here is tricky. Double tough. You see there's a little bit of deeper water, but between this and this is about 4 inches difference. I mean, this right now is probably 8 inches, 12 inches deep. On a higher tide, you might have 14 or 18 inches of water. Getting from here back into the creek. Now, this is all very, very deep, all back through here. You got a lot of good water in the creek. And it does hold a lot of fish this time of year because of some of these deeper bends. But accessing it, getting to it, good luck. You're probably going to push. If you got everything out of the boat and everybody got out and you walked it in there, you might get in. But make sure you do that at a low tide, because if you cross here at high tide, what happens after high tide? The water goes out. And as that water drops, if you just got in, that means you're not getting out. You could be back here for a day or 2.
And with the warmer weather right now, the mosquitoes and no-see-ums would be a real treat.
Well, at night, it's been pretty chilly, but it's
that golden hour right there around sunset that I want nothing to do with it.
No.
Not fun for me at all. But as you get down the west wall, they're getting a few trout on top of the bar and a couple of pompano. Not very many, but a guy did skip several, and then he ended up catching 2.
Yeah, if you get on your boat and you come along here 18 miles an hour, and you can skip pompano that way. If you're going too fast, it doesn't work. And, putting down here isn't going to skip them either. It's getting the boat on plane, then backing the throttle off as much as you can while you're still on plane. Your boat just starts to wallow a little bit. That's where you want to be at. And you're running out here in about 6 feet of water and just following that depth on down. And stay in between 5 and 6 foot. That's how you're going to skip those pompano. And once you see them, just spin out to open water and come back. But have somebody keep an eye on that spot because it's really hard to see which way the pompano are going. So it's tricky, but it can be done.
The other fun thing about that speed is that's the speed that dolphins want you to go for them to come and play in your wake. So you can practice your pompano skipping speed when you've got the visitors on the boat. Anytime you drive past a group of more than 2 dolphins, try your pompano skipping speed running around those dolphins. And if you get it right, a lot of times they'll come up and jump in your wake, which
Yeah,
of
they
course
like
tourists
that.
love.
Creates a much bigger rolling wake, and it doesn't hit as hard as a 35-mile-an-hour wake would. Um, there should be redfish in all these little creeks and pockets here. There should be snook over there, although I doubt it. But there should be redfish back in most of these little creek pockets. But again, getting to them is going to be tricky
Wow.
because the bar starts way out here, and this is getting into a couple of feet of water. Up here, you've probably got 8 to 14 inches of water on top of this bar, maybe less in some spots. So it's really tricky to get into.
Well, like you were talking about how damp out it is outside and not being able to see the sun, that's all fog that came rolling in.
Yeah.
And yesterday, the fog was still out there on the west wall from Cattle Dock Point all the way down, and from the center of the harbor all the way down the whole west wall
Yeah.
until 2 o'clock.
Till 2 o'clock.
Till 2 o'clock, I had a
Wow.
report at 2 o'clock where it was still a fog bank over there on the west wall.
Yeah. And the one thing, if you think, okay, well, I'm just going over here, it's real foggy out. You say, oh, I'm just going to run this way and I'll get there. Chances are you're going to end up right back where you were because you get the breeze coming off one side of your face and you say, okay, if I hold that breeze there and I got the waves going, I just head into the waves. Somewhere or another, you still end up coming back to where you were, and it's very dangerous. Best thing to just wait for the fog to go away.
Yeah.
Fish where you are. I mean, if you left the boat ramp, the odds are pretty much just as good to catch fish there as wherever the great place is that you were going.
And the fun thing about that fog bank yesterday is we were trying to get out of Alligator Creek to go down harbor. First time we tried to go, all of a sudden there's this wall of fog in front of us. And I'm like, okay, well, we're going to turn around. But before we could turn around, we had to drive into it a little bit before we could safely turn the boat. As soon as you got across the edge of that wall, temperature dropped 10 degrees and everybody's lenses immediately fogged up. So it wasn't just fog droplets, it was that temperature drop that did it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fun.
Cape Hayes Bar.
A couple of bonnet heads were seen on it, but nobody caught anything out there. That was it.
Yeah, you should have pompano here. There should be, of course, the
Ladyfish.
bonnet heads. Should be all kinds of fish here, trout, everything else. It's any day. This is just going to go crazy here. It's the right place. It's the right time, but it's just a touch too cold. But this is any day now. Before next Friday, this is going to light up through here because you've got deep water on both sides with a very shallow bar coming out almost a mile. So this is going to get very, very good here in the next few days. And just if you're going by, stop and give it a shot because when it lights up, it really goes.
Yeah,
Bull,
definitely.
bull and turtle, Robert.
A lot of trout scattered throughout both of them. And then I'm hearing reports of some good sheepshead up inside there around the shacks and around a couple of the oyster patches. Even a handful of guys got some sheepshead up underneath the mangroves while they were trying to fish for redfish.
And
They did catch a couple of short redfish, and one guy did catch a 30-incher.
so is that over in bull or turtle?
They went to both places, so he
Went to
didn't
both, they
specify.
didn't say.
But he said they caught some redfish in both places, but he didn't specify the bigger one. It just they jumped around all throughout that whole area.
When you come into Bull Bay, this back side, you've got quite a bit of water right up by the mangroves. And as you come in here and get up in these first few cuts, you've got a lot of water right next to the mangroves. Out 30 feet, 40 feet, and you've got 18 inches, 2 feet of water right up against the mangroves. You've got an extra foot. And that's quite a few of these places right in through here. And it's a real deep cut going through here at the Eagle's Nest. But Gallagher's Cut is always the spot to check. It's hard to fish there now because it's so wide and so deep, but that's very, very deep water there, and you got very shallow, deep, and very shallow. So this is a very likely spot for a lot of different fish right now. And I would say in the next 3, 4 days, this is just going to explode in here with fish. And again, these back in here shouldn't be, but we're seeing schools of 35, 40-inch redfish around the area. Just shouldn't be here. And what we're thinking, and Robert can say yes or no to this, but I think it's the number of years ago they started releasing hatchery fish here. And when you release hatchery fish, they don't know to come and join the adults when they leave in October, November. The big adults come in, they do their big spawn, and then they take all the small ones with them. But if you don't know that's where you're supposed to be because you weren't born here, they're just tourists, basically. They were dropped in, and I think those are the hatchery fish. And there's a couple of big schools of giant redfish that should not be here right now.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think, Robert?
I would have to agree with some of that. It's too new for me to really know on that, but it wouldn't surprise me at all because they have proven that like some of the farm raised fish immediately go offshore when they've released some of their breeding stock, and that they've gone offshore, but some of them have been known to hang around and never leave. They become full-time bodies because some of those animals, they've done the little pit tags in them.
Mm-hmm.
And Louisiana did a big study on them, and some of those fish literally stayed the entire year before they left, but other fish immediately just hit and boogied offshore.
Yeah, they don't know where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
They're just running. So,
Yeah. And the thing is, they released fish of different sizes. The ones they released when they were 4 inches long, those much better assimilate with the remaining population. But when you're releasing fish that are already adult or close to adult, man, they don't know what to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think
you're right
that's
on the
why
money
we're
with it.
seeing those schools of really, really big redfish, way oversized,
Right.
that should have been gone a couple months ago and are now still here. Either that or for some reason or other they just stayed. One of the two possibilities. So Gasparilla Sound,
Gasparilla Sound, so ladyfish, a lot of trout, and sheepshead. The sheepshead have been being caught along the mangroves over there by Widden and catfish, basically
Right.
that whole shoreline. A couple of the oyster patches out in the center, and then the clam lease. All that area has been some sheepshead, and guys are catching mostly smaller guys, but one guy did catch a 20-incher. He said his buddy the day before that caught a couple 19-inchers. And what the heck else? What did he catch? Oh, they caught a 23-inch trout in that same spot,
Wow.
fishing right around that oyster patch that he said is just closer towards Widden Creek, but by the clam lease, I guess. I'm not familiar with it. I don't know that bottom well enough. I know
Right.
that there's some oyster patches throughout that area, but there's that trough that you actually have painted on the website,
Right.
and it's somewhere along that area.
but back up just north of what we're looking at here. Let's see. Try and recognize what I'm looking at here.
Yeah, it's always a little challenging when you're looking at the actual image instead of a chart.
Yeah. Let's see. Actually, I guess it's okay. That's devilfish on this flat right in through here and back up in here a little bit. There's a couple schools of redfish the guys are going to, but as they try and get closer and closer, the fish just keep moving off. They're not running, escaping, but they're just literally keeping their distance from the boats. So they're not going quick. They're very hard to see, but you've got some schools of very definite slot-sized redfish up and through here and back in this bay here. So they are there, but trying to get them to eat has been really tough. So there is some cup, and it's probably 2 to 4 schools of redfish somewhere in through these areas. They're just slowly working along feeding, but trying to get them to hit has been really tough. The guys are seeing them. They're getting close. As soon as they get within casting distance, the fish just move off a little bit.
And they are seeing a lot of snook over there, but they aren't chewing either.
Yeah.
Those guys said that they actually had 58 degrees when they were over there a couple days ago. Surface temperature, so it's still a little brisk.
Placida.
Placida, that's the best place to go if you want sheepshead right now. Well, second best
And
place.
you got some pompano and some other stuff mixed in with that too out there.
Been a couple
Not
pompano.
a tremendous amount, but there's a good mixed variety of stuff there because the deep water around the bridges, and then you've got relatively deep water and very shallow water. So you've got such a different climate right in through here that the fish can go deep, shallow. It's just its own little world.
Yeah. They've also been getting a couple of bonnet heads, and a guy did catch a small, what looked like a black tip. It was probably maybe 2 feet long. It was hard to tell from his picture, but it was random.
Yeah.
He was and he caught it on a shrimp, but he had a picture of it, and it was maybe that big, but that was the best guess that I could guess it was a black tip, but it seemed a little.
Yeah.
It was the runt of the litter and a late one at that.
Yeah, he should be bigger than that by now, and because he'd be almost a year old, so he should be close to 3 foot by now.
I would think so.
But you just don't know. There's always that random oddball chance of hitting something that's very, very unexpected. If you're fishing here around the bridge, you're catching sheephead and doing that, and all of a sudden a 200-pound Goliath grouper eats it, and that happens. I mean, and once you get like April or May, you're reeling in a trout, and now you got a 150-pound tarpon on that because the tarpon came up and ate the trout.
Yep.
So it's an unusual area with lots of cool stuff.
Very cool stuff.
All right, brings us up to Lemon Bay.
Lemon Bay. So several guys have said that they've been getting a lot of trout up in that area, mostly up towards the Tom Adams Bridge, which I know is part of next section or whatever. But they've been fishing from Ski Alley up to the Tom Adams Bridge. And then one guy was fishing just to the south, almost to the beginning of the Miserable Mile, I guess.
Right.
And they were drifting the flats there, and they got several trout, one little short flounder. His buddy had what he thought might have been a legal size flounder, but he didn't know he had anything on. He thought he had seaweed on, and as he was reeling it up, it spit the hook right as he got good visual of it. And
all of a sudden, there he is.
Yeah.
Coffee's gone.
And they were both casting the mirror lure, the soft plastic.
Little John?
Looks like yes, there you go, the Little John. They were throwing Little Johns and shrimp on a jig head, so they caught fish on both of those as they were out there working them. And they used 3 different colors of the Little John. One was the electric chicken, which explain that to me with why. Because electric chicken usually is the color that goes to in August, September, October when the water's black. That's when we always used to sell the most electric chicken.
To me, electric
last
chicken
6
is after
months.
the rain stops.
Yeah.
Once the water starts clearing up, but it's still brown tinted, that electrician just rocks, or electric chicken is excellent. And then usually once the rain starts, when you've got clear water but tinted, and I don't know if I know the water out there is real clear, but I don't know if it's blue clear or brown clear.
It's pretty clear, but electric chicken in general for the last 4 months
Has been
just
doing
been a
really well.
steady seller everywhere. Guys are running out there to the beach. They're fishing in the intercoastal. They're fishing up the river. It's weird the amount of electric chicken we've been selling.
That green and pink. Electric chicken is a bubblegum pink with some type of green. It could be brighter greens, lighter greens, but it's pink and green mixed. And it's been very, very effective for ever since August, September?
Yeah.
It really kicked in then, and it still hasn't backed off. It's still doing really well.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't really understand it. I mean, obviously fish see everything completely different than we do, but it's always surprises me when one pattern seems to be working in so many different locations that hasn't worked that way under normal situations.
No, I agree with you. Electric chicken is making a Bass Assassin has a lot of different stuff in electric chicken, and I go back there because somebody asks, what's a good color? I go back, show them the electric chicken, gone, 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 gone. We
Yep.
get them all in, and they just, and you don't know, is this the last week of the phase or is it going to last for 2 more months? But it really hasn't mattered if it's the Little John style or the shad tail,
Nope.
or they've got a bunch of different ones in electric chicken.
Even
And,
some of the hard baits. I mean, Marilure, Meridine makes one.
Yep.
Rapala makes one. I don't know if Yozuri makes one, but almost everyone has a hard bait and an electric chicken of some kind. And it's just, I don't understand it. But it's kind of cool.
I don't know why. But pink is a great color for snook. It's my number one color for catching snook.
Yeah.
And chartreuse, if you got a pink chartreuse combination, you get a little bit of everything.
Right.
So, anyway, what's next?
The Gulf.
The Gulf. All right.
Golfito Americano.
So the main thing that's going on out there is a lot of people are preparing to go out like over the next several days. The two far off reports. One guy went out to 100, 110 feet of water. Nothing. He got a couple of lanes, a couple of mangs, but no grouper. He caught a couple short red grouper. Another guy went out not realizing that the 20 fathom mark was closed, and he got a couple grouper in 145 feet of water. So as far as grouper goes, that's the main report out there, but you got to be careful where that 20 fathom line is at right now, because what's that? Is that the whole month?
So that's all of February, all of March.
Okay, so
Anything
2
over
months.
20 fathoms?
Yep.
It's a 20 fathom break. So safely, you need to stay in less than 110 feet of water, because that 20 fathom break goes straight line to straight line to straight line. It's not
It's an
actually
imaginary line.
anything over 20 fathoms, which would be 120 feet.
Fathom
It's,
6 foot, by the way, folks.
Yeah. Now, the confusing part about that is that the Gulf Council voted at their last meeting in late January to get rid of that closure. So it's going to be gone. We know that it's going to be gone, but you can't get the federal government to implement that fast enough to do it this year.
Right.
So they just did it at the tail end of January, which means that there was no way to actually not have the closure for February, March. So even though we know it's going away, when we get to this time next year, it'll be perfectly legal to run out there to whatever depth you want to go to and fish for your red grouper, assuming that they're open at all, which I don't have a good crystal ball, but this year, it's still closed.
Okay.
So here's the interesting thing as far as in the Gulf right now is that all the nearshore reefs, Helens, Novak, Tremblay, and the Power Pole, and even a couple reports at the Palm Island Ferry, a lot of sheepshead.
It's a year for sheephead.
Yeah, but I think that cold weather, because even though they like cold weather, I think that pushed some of those fish out to a more stable temperature.
Yeah, very well.
Because they
could
were
be.
not catching as many on those. They're catching them, but I've had so many. I had probably at least 6 or 7 different customers in this week that they either caught the sheepshead or their buddy went out there and cleaned house on the sheepshead.
And we've talked for years that we'll have a banner year for sheephead, just crazy, everybody catching sheephead. And then the next year is usually really slow because a lot of them were caught.
Yeah, they killed everything. Ate 'em.
So then the next year, we don't have a lot of big sheephead, or in some cases, not much. And so that'll go on for 2 years. And then all of a sudden, we'll have a decent year on sheephead. And then that 4th year, we have just banner big bunches of sheephead, and everybody goes crazy, and everybody's fishing them. I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think next year will be a very good year on sheephead as well, because of the weather.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people have been out to really. If this was nice weather every day, there'd be so many people catching sheephead that it would thin the numbers down.
Right.
And so then we'd have a bad year, and then 2 years later you get a pretty good year, and then that 4th year is another big banner bumper year.
And I'm hoping that you're right, but the spawn hasn't happened yet with sheepshead. It's March and April when that major spawn happens once the water actually starts warming up. So I think what it'll depend on is how good the weather is for us to get out and target those sheepshead between now and then, because that'll determine how many of those
Actually
egg-bearing
spawn
females
and-
actually get to spawn. So,
Yeah, it's just a different thing, but we've always watched the sheephead go in cycles: good years, bad years, mediocre years, and then you start to realize that so many get caught that the next year just isn't very good, so people don't really fish for them. So then that the next year and the year after, you've got a few people fishing, some diehards, but not many, and then all of a sudden, boom, and everybody hears about all these sheepheads, so I go out sheephead fishing, and then the cycle starts over again. But we see that in areas because they're limited. They used to spawn at the 41 Bridge. I mean, they were all over the place, big bunches of sheephead, and now it's much more limited in the spots, so they're much easier to knock the population back.
Right.
yeah. Although this year we have seen a lot of those fish in different places. So
Yeah, but
Alligator
that's what I'm
Creek
saying.
Reef's been good for sheepshead.
Weird year.
Haven't heard about many at the 41 bridges, but the canals have been good for sheepshead, and now we're hearing about more of them from the nearshore
Yeah,
reefs.
even up
So,
by 75 and up around the mangroves up there, there are very sporadic sheephead, which I haven't heard of in 10 years. So, different year.
anything else
Good
to
year.
talk about in the Gulf, Robert? Pelagics or
Nothing.
nothing?
No.
Okay.
Next year, the Gulf report's probably going to be pretty big. Or next week. Not
Yeah.
next year.
All right. Then that brings us to the Venice jetties and the Venice Pier.
The Venice Jetties has got a lot of sheepshead on it. That one, guys have been catching some sheepshead. A lot of guys are seeing the sheepshead, but they are catching them off of there. And a couple of whiting, a couple of pompano, a few small mangrove snapper, and nothing else. And then as far as sharkies goes, I haven't heard any report off of sharkies in a couple of weeks, period. I know people are fishing off of it, just haven't gotten any report. Not a
Right.
good one or a bad one. So I don't know what's going on up there. Been a little strange with that.
You got anything on any of the passes?
No, the only pass is Boca right now.
Okay.
Boca's the only place that I've had a report on it.
How about walking the beaches? I think I forgot that.
No, passes is actually what's next. So nothing at Punta Gorda, nothing at Redfish Pass, nothing at Captiva Pass, Boca Grande Pass, Robert.
Boca Grande Pass right there at the Quarantine Rocks. They've been getting some sheepshead and a couple of whiting, a couple of small mangrove snapper. And then over by basically following the north channel going out from the phosphate dock out through the pass, some pompano, a few sheepshead around closest to the rocks and also around the old phosphate dock.
Yeah.
And then one guy actually caught several bonnet heads and a couple of trout on the rocks standing there the other day. My cousin and family were down and they all hung out there at the beach the other day and they watched the guy catch a few, and then her husband was trying to catch sheepshead, which he ended up catching several.
It's funny, a guy came in, he was talking about getting a couple of bonnet sharks and very disparaging. And like, all I caught was a couple of bonnet sharks. I'm thinking to myself, no, wait a minute. You're out there catching small hammerheads, and to you, that's not good enough?
Nope.
I don't get it. I was just looking at my thing here, and I got a hairstyle like Trey Gowdy right now. I mean, it's like,
You can fix it with a razor, Frank.
yeah, no, I got it.
Clean it right up.
But I'm looking at it like, boy, I look like Trey Gowdy, with hair on the sides.
It's just interesting the way people get so frustrated with certain species that they catch. Because, I mean, a bonnet head's an awesome fish.
It's
And with the
amazing.
right tackle, they're a blast to catch.
Because usually you catch them when you're trout fishing. So
Yeah.
you got real light rods, you're having a great time. And, they're not exceptionally aggressive, although it is a shark.
Yeah.
They will bite you. And, they probably won't kill you, but a chihuahua bite hurts just about as much as, I don't know.
Shepherd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about your assessment of them not being aggressive. I mean, maybe not once you have them in hand, But when they're in the water,
Oh yeah, they pull real hard.
well, and they take that aggressive posture. If you watch videos of people diving with sharks and you see the shark point his pectoral fins down and they
Yeah.
kind of take that bowed up posture, that's not something that I've really seen sharks in the wild do while I'm waiting out there, except for bonnetheads. And bonnetheads will do it about half the time, where they come up, they swim around you, they point those pec fins down, and they get all bowed up at you. I mean, you can poke them with a rod and off they go, but they've got attitude, no question.
Okay, because and people are always afraid of and the only reason you're afraid of bull sharks when you're wading is because they're absolutely insane. You have no idea what a bull shark's going to do. A bonnet head, even though he can hurt you and stuff, he's like Josh said, can get aggressive or whatever. But if you poke them a little bit, splash at them, whatever, they're just going to run. But a bull shark might come up and rub you like he's a puppy. He could come up and just bump into you, or he could just bite you. You don't know ever what a bull shark is going to do. Just when you think you haven't figured out, you find out this is the psychotic, crazy shark of your nightmares. Because he's warm and funny and oh great, and then he's trying to eat your ass, and it just like that difference. I mean, 1 second to the next. Bull sharks are scary. I mean, I kind of know what they're going to do, but I'm waiting for the day when I get my leg taken off because I thought, okay, this is what he's going to do.
Yeah. They're like the cats of the sea.
Yes.
You're petting him, he can be perfectly calm and then just turn on you in an instant.
Yeah, turn on you. You're sitting there with a cat, and all of a sudden it turns around, and just nails your hand, and you got claws at you. You're like, what the heck was that?
What did I do?
Yeah.
Anything else from the Gulf beaches, Robert?
No.
Nobody's been to Stump Pass or any place like that you've talked to?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
A couple guys were going today out to Blind Pass Park, and then another guy was going out to Stump Pass Park.
But you think it should be pretty good?
I think it's going to get great. Like Frank was saying, over these next couple days, I think this whole next week should be pretty darn nice.
I would have said tomorrow things were going to go off pretty good, but because it's today, I think it's going to be Sunday, Monday is when things really start, going off, getting crazy. I mean, there's definitely be fish out there tomorrow, but this is going to set it back a day or so.
All right. Matlacha, Indian Field, Smokehouse Bay.
Sheepshead off Matlacha, right off the bridge. Guys have been doing really good for the last couple of days down there. And then as far as right there around Smokehouse Bay area, I've heard my buddy John did some kayak fishing down there. He saw several big redfish. He caught one oversized redfish. He saw a couple of small sharks that he couldn't tell what they were. And going back way into some of the little bushes and stuff in that immediate area around Matlacha, basically like some of those creeks that go into the Cape Coral, I guess.
Yeah.
He saw a bunch of snook in there, but he didn't mess with them too much because he said he was reading 60 degrees and 58 degrees depending on which spot he was at. So he just didn't feel like messing with them too much. He went more out in the open and stayed out there.
Back in these areas here, and up here in Smokehouse Bay or the Indian Fields, whatever this is up in here, this is where in the afternoon you're going to start looking for those redfish. In the morning, they'll be out here deep. But if there's water, they're going to get back up in these shallows. In afternoon, if I was going to look for redfish right now, this would definitely be an area I would be looking for some redfish right around some of these deeper pockets adjacent to this. The water's clear enough. They're going to be in there soaking up the sun. Those redfish are back here somewhere. And I think this is when you're going to find them. But this is going to be 2 o'clock in the afternoon or later, and you need water. So you got to have a combination of a little higher water, somewhere around a 1.0, 1.5 or better, and then warm, bright sunshine. And you'll be able to just rock the redfish all through these areas because they're going to be there. They're somewhere close. Where, we don't know exactly, but they're going to be in that area. Pine Island Sound, another spot that there are redfish all over this sucker. Where? And I'm going to say, if you're looking for redfish, you got to get here in the afternoon. Get where that sun, a bright, shiny day, sunny day, shiny. I guess that's shiny and
Shiny
sunny or something.
fish.
But and look for the dark grass. And in the afternoon, this is where you're going to want to be. Can I tell you absolutely they're there? No, we're not getting the reports, but 40 years of looking at this, seeing what should be is that it should be loaded up with reds, but you know,
Right. Trout is the only report that I've had down there, and it was closer to the Captiva Rocks area.
gotcha.
That was the only report I had, unfortunately, down there. A couple of guys went down there to go to
I think it's
Cabbage Key to eat,
What's
but
that?
they didn't fish. They did comment about how beautiful and crystal clear the water is. There was a couple spots where it was milky from as they got closer to the pass, and I guess it was probably either tide driven or wind driven, but they said through like from Patricio down to Cabbage Key, the water was super, super clear.
Yeah, Cabbage Key's over here. But this whole area in here is nice and clear, and you've got plenty of shallow areas for redfish to be hanging out. They should be there. I mean, if not today, next week. Bokeelia?
Chinook Creek
Nothing,
Shoal?
nothing at all from there.
Okay. Take a look at Burnt Store and Two Pines.
There's some redfish under the bushes there, and in some of those, there's a couple of those deeper creeks as you get south closer to Two Pines. I don't even know if they're creeks or like keys, so to
Right.
speak. So they're down in there. And then some trout and pompano just to the south of Burnt Store on top of the bar and on the outside of the bar.
I'm really looking forward to going back and taking the boat through all this area again. It's been years since I fished it a lot. This is some of the most intricate, try and figure it out place there is, because you've got little narrow openings between islands that open up, and in that next opening might be a 6 foot hole or just 10 inches of water. And learning how to get all through these islands back up in here, it is just an amazing place to fish. This Two Pines area. And you can see there's a lot of shallow areas, but then you've got some of the deeper spots. That's what I mean. You come in through and you're going through some of these places, and then all of a sudden there you got a deep spot. Then you got real shallow spots. It is so interesting to fish, and if you're going to do it the first time, I probably wouldn't take bait. I would take some different lures, whatever you like, because you want to go through, see everything, look at the bottom, fish a little bit. But when you're fishing bait, you're more or less place fishing, you're spot fishing. You're like, okay, there's fish right here, and I'm going to throw bait at that. Whereas with the lures, you can just keep working your way along and actually cover some area and find out. Because, like, when you come through here and get up, then all of a sudden this is just shallow. You can't even get through it. But you can come around the other way and you find a dead end, and then you find, it's just so cool to do, to get in there and do the Lewis and Clark, figure it out. Because when you're doing a Lewis and Clark, and you've got some lures, you're pitching along, and all of a sudden you see the deep water, even though you're not catching fish that time, when you come back, you're going to have that mapped out in your head. So, okay, I come around this corner, I want to stop the boat, anchor up for a while, and cast ahead of me. And that's when I take bait and lures, because let's say I wanted to fish this little deeper spot here. I don't want to just throw lures at it again and again and again. I'm working the lures until I get up here. Then I stop and I start throwing bait into it, because the bait can sit there, catch a fish out. You can throw another piece of bait in there and catch another fish. You can do that again and again, where the more you throw lures in there, the more it's like throwing rocks in the water. So just sometimes it's best to have both. Sometimes best to have one.
All right, moving our way north up to Pirate Harbor and the East Side Keys.
Pirate Harbor on the outside has had a few trout, and a couple guys caught some bigger trout. One guy got a 20-incher out of there, along with several in the 15, 16-inch range. He said they were very lethargic, real sluggish. They hit shrimp on a jig head, and they hit a couple of soft plastics, They gave up on the soft plastics because the puffer fish were just beating the snot out of them. And then
that pufferfish farm
Yeah.
we started growing a few years ago, we're producing them left and right. We're making a fortune on soft plastics now.
Yeah.
It was expensive raising all those puffers, but it's paying off now.
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Guys are seeing some redfish and some snook down in there, but that's the area where a couple of guys were saying it's 56, 58, 60, 61 degrees. Still a little cool over there.
Yeah.
And I think that's because so much of that was exposed. Plus, it's the east side. The east side gets less sun.
Yeah. You don't
so-
get as much sun on this side. You got shade from the trees. You get the sun when it's directly overhead, but then as soon as it angles, so you're missing probably a third of the sun that the west side would get.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just not as warm right now, but I think like you said this week there again should see some improvements over there.
Yeah. I'm really hopeful for next week's report. I think fishing this coming week. Now, are we going to get one day of rain like Sunday or something like that? Is there another front coming through?
Yeah, there is another front that was forecast. I haven't looked at it today, but looking at yesterday's forecast, they were calling for some rain for us for Sunday.
For
The
Sunday.
timing
So
could be
next
anywhere.
week should be pretty good because we'll have that rain event, which throws a little extra oxygen in the water, and it's not going to change the temperatures much at all.
Right.
From what I saw, it's just a little rain event, maybe a slight pressure drop, but
Yeah, it looked like it was going to drop us maybe a few degrees, but I think we're actually getting more of a drop from this overcast weather that we're having today than
Yeah.
we're getting from that.
when I looked at it, I think it was like 52 one night and 53 the next.
Yeah. Alligator Creek, Poacher's Cut, skating rink.
Some small trout right at the mouth. And then a couple guys are catching some mangrove snapper up there to the turnoff to go into Burnt Store Meadows.
Mm-hmm.
And they caught a couple of sheepshead up in there. But other than that, it's super quiet. It's a little pretty area, but pretty slow.
All right. Takes us out to Ponce de Leon Park.
Terrible.
Terrible. Okay. I'm rating terrible.
Well, I mean, it's true. The only reports I've gotten there literally is like little snapper, 6 inches, 7 inches long.
Or
and
less.
A couple of trout, 8 inches, 10 inches long. Even a guy went out in front and was trying because he had caught trout before this cold front came through. And he said he didn't get anything at all. So, nothing special.
Okay. How about the PGI canals and Punta Gorda general area?
They're getting sheepshead at the mouths of the canals mostly. A lot of people are seeing them way up inside around their docks, but nobody's really catching them. But it seems like the mouth of Colony Point, Bass Inlet, the Turnaround Basin, those areas seem to be catching some sheepshead. And then a couple of oddball small mangrove snapper. A lot of the snook moved back onto the lights the last couple of days because several guys said that the snook disappeared off their lights for like 3 days in a row where they didn't see a fish, and now they're starting to see
So
more.
one snook on the lights. I see tilapia there almost every night.
Yeah.
And it's weird because you would think the snook would lay right up by the lights for the warmth.
Yeah.
When it's just cold, they're
You
too
would think.
dumb. For such a pretty smart fish, snook's pretty sharp. They won't lay up against the light to get warm.
No.
I watched that tilapia just right up against the light. And that's one of the dumber fish around. And but snook, they just get into the light, but they don't go down and get next to it for the warmth.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is because people say, oh, they're attracted to the warmth. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't ever see a snook laid right up by the lights within inches.
Nope.
I'll see it with tilapia, some other fish, but no, never a snook.
So I've been in the Punta Gorda canals a couple days this past week. There are sheepshead everywhere. Like almost every dock that we looked under that had enough water to hold them, there's sheepshead hanging out there.
Right.
Any place you've got seawall and a mangrove sitting next to it, there's sheepshead sitting there.
And what's amazing is you have literally thousands of houses back here, and 1 out of 20 or 1 out of 30 actually fish.
Yep.
They buy a house on this canal, spend huge money, and they never. Maybe when they're there the first, they go out and fish once or twice. But most of the people here don't fish, so it's created a huge uh, breeding ground or spawning ground area
It's
back
like a
here.
little sanctuary almost.
Yeah, deep water. You're not allowed to throw a cast net back here. So with no cast netting and very few of the people that live here fish the canals. Even let's say it's 1 out of 20 actually go fishing, but out of those, only 1 out of 20 fishes the canals. They're all going out and fishing in the harbor, Bull Bay, wherever they're going. But so many don't fish the canals.
Yeah.
It is probably this for all of the people and all the houses and everything else here. It's probably the smallest group of people that I think if you live in Port Charlotte or Arcadia or TGA or whatever, you fish in these canals. That's what we go over there to go fishing.
Yep.
But it may be that if you live on the east side of the lake, the best fishing's on the west side. If you live on the west side, the secret to really catching fish is to go to the east side.
Yeah.
So
if I'm land-based fishing, I need to cast out to get to the big fish. And if I'm in the boat, then I cast back up to the bank to get the big fish.
It's amazing. They go by each other.
But yeah, those fish have just been loaded up all through there. They're almost everywhere that we looked. And we did see some really nice big black drum in there. Not many, but
all
I'm
we've
talking
got
about
left is
those
20-foot hole, right?
big 30 and 40 pound fish.
Right.
Say again?
All we have left is 20-foot hole, right? And freshwater.
Let's see. We
Alligator
have
Creek.
Alligator Creek Reef.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going over to my chair.
Oh, all
I've
right.
stood
Well,
up
then
long
come
enough.
back, why don't you?
Yeah.
Beam you back.
I'm
Beam
heading
back
over.
You weren't even good enough for that.
And then
Oh,
beam Frank back over to his chair. Everybody believes
Yeah.
he did that, right? Okay.
all of a
Alligator
sudden,
Creek Reef, Robert.
Get a
my
little
back
stiff.
was like, you can sit down anytime.
Yep. There's been a few sheepshead out on there. They're in isolated little spots, so you move to one little rock and you might catch one or two, and then you move to the next rock, catch 2 or 3, and then the next 20 rocks you get nothing. So as long as you're patient and want to move around a little bit, they have been getting them off of there. And that's literally the only report I've gotten, and that was 2 different people that were hopscotching on all the place out there.
Yeah, and that's how that's been for the last few weeks.
And that green moss is coming back. I forgot to mention that because it's in my canal. They're starting to see it on the flats, and a couple guys were hanging up on it out there on the reef too while they were sheepshead fishing. That green slime that looks slimy, but it's dry.
Yeah.
I forget what
mermaid's
it's called.
hair algae.
Mermaid hair algae. There you go. That's starting to come back. We had it real bad before the floods. It started to disappear. It was here for like a full year, and then just before the floods it started to die off. Now I just started seeing it behind our house about a month ago. Well, about 2 weeks ago when we were out messing around casting, and now it's all over the place. I'm hearing guys complaining about it all the way up in PGI, Alligator Creek Reef, down the east wall. I don't know what it is that's feeding it, but there's definitely something feeding it.
Robert, your 20-foot holes report?
Nothing.
When are we going to have a 20-foot holes report, do you think?
April. Yeah, pretty much.
And the bait fish report, Robert?
April.
Okay. Freshwater then?
Crappie fishing has been doing good. They've been catching a lot of small crappie over in the webs and all those little ponds and stuff, along with some tilapia and a few Mayan cichlids. But the crappie there are running from like 9 to 11 inches, not real big, but decent numbers. And then also over there in the 9 Mile Canal, they got a couple of crappie, couple of Mayan cichlids. I've heard of several bass in the 1.5 to 2 pound range, beetle spins while trying to find crappie and bluegill. And the other guy got one on the minnows while he was trying to find some crappie, fishing the culverts, the underpasses going over, under the road.
Right.
And he got bass on those.
Yeah, there's the bass fishing right now is actually pretty good. If you go on fishandfranks.com, and then you'll see an icon for where to fish map pages. Click on that, go down, you go past the big red banner, and that's the boat only spot. All the ones in front of that are salt brackish water spots. But as you go past the red banner, you've got fishing spots, then you got shallow water fishing spots, then you got wade fishing places, then you have kayak ramps and launches, and then you have freshwater spots, and they're all listed by the town. Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, Northport, other areas. And right now would be a good time to try some of those because the bass have been doing very well. It's been 3 years since Ian, which was the last super powerful hurricane. And the floods and stuff didn't really affect the freshwater areas much. We got a lot of rain and all that, but not a lot of flooding from it in the Port Charlotte areas. And the flooding that did come in just put the fish in more different ponds. And this is going down. These are all by the town, saltwater. Keep going, you'll see a big red banner. And the brown lines differentiate between the different stuff. Keep going on down. Keep going. And shallow water, keep going. Wait, nope, keep going. Wade fishing. Next one is kayak. Now freshwater's right after that.
Boy, there's hardly any information on here.
Yeah, this is the. If you go down to, let's go up to Audubon Park. Let's see what that one looks like. It's in Port Charlotte. Now this is right here in town. See, it's Audubon Pennington Nature Park. And when you scroll down the pictures, you see this is getting in. Now, this is where it's actually at. It's kind of on an island you're at. So you can, no, go back up to, yeah, that one right there. See, you come in at the top and you can walk down and all the way. There's plenty of areas to fish along that canal. I think right now you can get to the other side to fish it, but there's a nice little canal for fishing. Great place to put it in town. If you go down to this one, underneath it, you'll see a map here. And that shows from Fishin' Frank's up to the spot. See, the green is where Fishin' Frank's is, and the red is where the place is. Go down a little bit more.
Actually, the green is where Burnt Store is.
No.
Yeah, the Fishin' Frank's Burnt
yeah,
Store.
But
the old
it was close enough. I wasn't changing them.
I didn't say you needed to.
Okay, and this is directions to the spot. So I don't know what that says there.
Depart 4425 Tamiami Trail.
No, right above that.
It says it's 4.3 miles.
4.3 miles
from the
Fishin'
store to
Frank's.
Audubon
So,
Park.
right here in town.
Yeah, easy to get there.
So you can find plenty of places to freshwater fish. What's the rest of your freshwater report, Robert?
That was pretty much it. The bass are starting to go into their pre-spawn mode, though, because guys are starting to see pairs swimming around. You know, little bass with a slightly larger bass. And then they're seeing some beds, but I'm guessing what they were describing was tilapia beds because the canals are getting so low. They're seeing them right up along the bank, and tilapia build a very deep, like almost a cut bowl type bed versus a bass. It's more like a shallow bowl, like a salad type bowl.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have that deep drop edges and real deep, channel into it. So I think that's what the guys are mistaken for bass beds.
Tilapia build a bomb crater. It's real easy to spot. And the bass, as often as not, they just kind of fan away some of the silt and exposed sand, and that's it.
Yeah. Keep it simple. But no, it should, we should start to see it improve with the bass fishing. Crappie fishing's always questionable with everybody because we never get super accurate reports other than, I'll take 4 dozen. How'd you do last night? I did okay. Give me 8 dozen. Okay, crappie, you're doing good. That's about how we get our answers with that. So it's always a sketchy report. But the rest of it, we should, I think you nailed it right on the head at the beginning of this whole thing, that this whole next week we should start to see it get better.
I'm very hopeful for next week's fishing report. Our numbers, people watching everything are down. I said, but of course they are. We've spent the last 2-3 weeks going, well, the fishing's kind of iffy. Yeah, it's too cold, too windy. Yeah, it's not been very good. Yeah, it's not been very good.
Yeah.
But just waiting for when we can give a report.
And we're not going to lie to them for numbers. We've made it all these years by being honest to the point of fault.
Yeah.
And I flat out told you the couple reports, or the one main report last week, or maybe it was the week before, I based all those reports on almost all of them were just from one person rather than several people.
I wish I could remember. I just saw a weatherman, and he was talking about something, and he's not only he had the name of something, but it wasn't. He's talking about a place, and he had the wrong place with the wrong information. I mean, there wasn't anything about what he was saying was right. I should have been a weatherman. We run about 80% correct on our fishing reports and everything else over the years. I mean, it's actually a pretty good percentage because, we're talking about what you might catch while you're fishing. And I watch these guys, they're getting paid all this money to be on TV, and they're wrong. It's the wrong place. It's the wrong information. I wish I could remember what it was. I was laughing so hard. I said, Robert would love this because it was just the dumbest garbage I've ever heard. That's why he's my weatherman. I do hurricanes. I'm almost never wrong on a hurricane. I've been wrong like twice where hurricanes are going to go in, since 2004. I was right in 2004.
You were 100% right with Charlie. You called that one
the night before I called it. So
at 11
Well,
o'clock
I've been
at night.
very wrong in trying to play the music because I've tried to start it twice and you kept going.
Well, I didn't know I was going to keep going, but
I didn't either. Clearly.
All right,
Trying one
ran
more
out of
time,
stuff
see
to
if it
talk
works.
about. Any last words, Josh?
No, I'm just happy to see a warming trend coming in. It's really got me excited that we might see some real fishing going on. That's
Mr. 40 degrees and flip-flops and short shorts.
It's not for me. It's for the fish.
Yeah,
I don't care.
It gets up to 60, and you're going to start wearing an Indian thong. The
I'm
flappers.
wearing that underneath right now, just in case.
Robert.
Oh, my mind's eye out.
Last words, Robert.
Nope, I'm good.
All right.
All right.
Rock and roll it, because I think the lyrics are coming up here pretty
Kalahari
soon.
Saki to you, and goodbye.
There they go.
Good night and sleep tight, we gotta go. We'll see y'all real soon for the next show. Till then, catch 'em up, tight lines, everyone. Fishing Frank's Fishing Club, now our job is done.